So we're at the end of the day here. I love that song, and I want to start out with a request to the Abbeys. I see some of you guys still here. That maybe an a cappella version of The Good Life if we haven't done it yet. So, my name is Bryan Snyder. I'm thrilled to be here, and I have to say, after sitting through all this today, I'm humbled by just the talent and people's passion around what they're pursuing. So I feel really fortunate to be joining the stage with everybody. It's been a great event today. So can we give it up once for all the speakers today? And then, of course, we all wouldn't be here, and you all wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the organizers and everybody that's making this event happen. So thank you. I want to start out sort of get a feel for who's here today. So, what do we have for undergrad students? Right. How about grad students? Alright. Alumni, right? And this is, you can be all of those things and this, but any parents out there? Alright. I'm talking to you most of the time. No, just kidding. So I want to share a couple stories with you, and I'll share sort of the story of my first career, and then I'd like to share the story of how I ended up in my second career, and a little bit of what that's involved. So as a 17-year-old, like most of us are honest with ourselves, I had no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up. So when it came time to choose a college, I, of course, looked at what the sports teams were, and I visited and went to some really cool parties, so that helped in my selection criteria. And I couldn't give up the opportunity. Oh, there's the title. There you go, here's the title. To go watch Donovan McNabb and Marvin Harrison hook up in the Carrier Dome. So it was just too compelling to think about other schools. So I ended up at Syracuse, and had I had different selection criteria, it's a pretty good school. I might have ended up there anyways. But at the time, that was the way I was thinking. Parties, good athletics, Syracuse. I ultimately ended up in school management, and by graduation, I thought I had it all figured out. So I started out as a financial advisor with American Express. Then I soon moved on to Putnam Investments. I was selling mutual funds and insurance at 539, all kinds of fun stuff like that. After having about 5 years of sales experience, my wife and I made the decision together that it'd be a good idea to go back to grad school, get an MBA, and further my corporate career opportunities. So I came back here to BU in school management. I graduated in 2009. I did an internship with Brown Brothers Harriman in private wealth management. And upon graduation, it was just a horrible job market. So it was May and June of 2009. So I felt really fortunate that I was recruited by IBM. They literally came into our apartment, packed up all our stuff, and moved us to New York City. And I was assigned to cover UBS, the big Swiss bank. That was my job. I was on a global team. And I tell you all that because it gives context around what I'm up to now. So, you know, there was a common thread in that I worked with talented people at great companies. It was really wonderful experiences, but I never truly felt passionate about what I was pursuing. So it was more going through the motions, and I felt like I succeeded based on charm, wit, intellect, good looks, those sort of things, instead of passion or being inspired by what I was up to. So I always felt like something big was missing, and that I had more to offer, and that work could be better. But I didn't know what it was. So last year, a sequence of events came together that I feel like it was a lucky sequence of events, and I'm going to walk you through how they played out to inspire me to do what I'm doing now. So So it's becoming acclimated with my job at IBM. I'm learning about servers and offshoring and outsourcing and application management and all this crazy stuff. And it was, for one, it was a bit overwhelming. And for two, it didn't always keep my attention. I found my attention was drifting towards more consumer technology. So, I'd be reading about a server and I'd end up reading about an iPhone or something. So I started to become fascinated with consumer technology through my research of enterprise stuff at IBM. At the same time, my daughter, who was just shy of 3 at the time, had started to play with our iPod Touch. So, little kid, just under 3. And I was just so amazed at how easily she navigated it. It was also intuitive to her. She was inquisitive. She, without even knowing it, was making interface suggestions. So she would ask why, a certain button did this action, why a certain action didn't result in the outcome that she expected. And then, most importantly to me, I noticed that she was finding new ways to be creative. So whether it was a drawing app or a dress-up app, she was just immersed in this technology, and it opened my mind and made me really fascinated about what technology might mean for kids in the future in this now touch-enabled, toddler computing world. And then, rumors of the iPad started to come out, and I said, if my mind is being, boggled looking at her on this little device, what might a more kid-friendly device do? And so I became so fascinated with kids and computing. And then, so there it is. And then sitting down with her to draw, for the first time she drew something recognizable. And as a first-time parent, again, it's another, I sound like I always get my mind blown, but I'm watching child development right here before my eyes. My little girl, is now drawing, and it brought me back to my own childhood. And my brother and I would spend hours doing step-by-step drawing. I don't know if some of you recognize this, but this is Ed Emberley's Big Green Drawing Book. And we considered Ed Emberley like the step-by-step drawing godfather. And we spent hours at a time with one 8.5 by 11 sheet filled up. We scotch tape another, and another, and another. And I'd love to show you one of those today, but I'm sure they're buried in a box somewhere. So those combined events gave me a vision of what I felt like the future of this tech, touching the world might look like for kids, and combining it with creativity. And I felt a passion that I hadn't felt, ever before in my life. So I called my uncle. My uncle is a successful entrepreneur, and I went on this rant. I explained this whole vision to him, and he said, "There's lots of great ideas out there. It's all about execution." So, with this newfound passion that I'd never felt before in my life, I woke up the next day and I started executing, and I haven't looked back. And I left IBM over a year ago to do this full time. And with that in mind, what we're trying to do is to build a technology platform. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So we want to create a technology platform that it inspires and encourages kids to be creative, but within its fabric, inherently makes parents involved in that process so that they then encourage their child to be creative. And I'll try to illustrate that for you. I'll give you a little bit of what we're up to here. So there's many drawing apps for kids, but a lot of them just replicate the physical world. They take the tools of the physical world, just make it so you can draw. We want to take everything that's great about tech and integrate it to change the paradigm of drawing and creativity. So first, we thought it was important that every kid have their own identity. They don't want mom and dad or little sister mucking up their profile. So each kid has their own profile. And again, I'm going to give you a taste, but I'm happy to show a much more detailed look afterwards. We also wanted to have step-by-step instructions so that kids as young as 3 years old can make something recognizable, which then gives them the confidence to pursue more creative risk-taking. So it builds their confidence. There's also freestyle, of course, so that they're not constrained by instruction. And then as parents, we wanted to have a digital repository for everything that our kid does creatively. So over time, you can imagine you see your child's art and creativity progress from 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 and 8. But the biggest impact we think we can have is involving parents in this process. So the platform is server-based, which means that it's communicating with the web, and it's not just running on the device. So as soon as the child hits save, it populates this feed so that if I'm at work, I can log on, I can see things happen in real time. And I also get it on my phone so that I'm away, I'm out to dinner, and I see that my daughter's drawing with the babysitter. And it's this emotional involvement that it's really hard to describe the feeling, but you really feel joyous about receiving your child's art while you're not there. So it creates this virtuous cycle then where I want her to draw more because I'm immediately gratified when I receive her drawings. And so the child over time learns that this is a conduit to communicating with their parents because my daughter knows that if she saves a drawing in the app that I'm going to get it and I'm going to see it no matter where I am. So once they learn that, you can imagine the power of that type of communication platform for a really young child. And so we want this cycle to continue over and over and over. We don't want to make an addictive app. We want encouraging your child to be creative, to be addictive. So this is the cycle that we hope to inspire. And I'm wrapping things up here. As you've probably gathered, much of our work was inspired and enabled by Steve Jobs and Apple and what they created. And it was largely why I pursued this in the first place. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with the famous commercial. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius, because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. To me, the underlying message isn't about craziness, it's about creativity. With something of world-changing magnitude, there's so many things that need to come into place that without creativity and imagination, the crazy ones are just that. I'm excited about what the future holds for children, technology, and creativity. I hope you join me in encouraging creativity in children. Pick up a pencil or a crayon, or for that matter, an iPad, and go draw with a child.